Hello and welcome to Sassy as Fuck. I'm Alex Radford, joined by my lovely co-host John McGreevy, and today we are joined by Alefiya Khoraki, and I've hopefully said that correctly without being nasty. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
You've caught me on a good day.
What would it be like if we got on a bad day? How different would this have been?
A bad day is usually when, like, by 7:30 p.m. I'm like crashing down, 8 calls, team calls. I love everything, but those crashing
The
days,
energy just drops off.
definitely not a good time for a podcast. And then I'm like,
Yeah, no, that's fair. I you had those days as well where I'm like, before in the past, I've been like, we can do several interviews in a day. And it just ends up me being, at the end of it, being like, hey, how's it going? Another podcast. So we don't do that anymore. Now we just do a one a day
Oh, okay.
policy.
One a day.
We try
to do
to.
that for all meetings.
Now, I've not shouted out the fact that you are co-founder of Nomads Marketing, and you are the title of, is it right saying that you're a quiz funnel specialist? Is that an okay?
Yeah, conversion quiz funnels.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a term coined by me, conversion quiz, and definitely will talk about it. So yes, I run this agency, and my co-founder is my husband. So he's mostly doing the CFO side of things, and then I'm the CEO and the CMO right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Amazing. So can we dive into what that means? Is because quizzes seems like a strange kind of idea of conversion for funnels. So would you like to kind of
Yes.
tell us, as though both me and John have no clue whatsoever and we need help?
So usually, like, still quizzes are, even the marketers who know it, quizzes are a very alien concept right now, because there are just like 2-3 people synonymous to quizzes voices, and everyone has a very different style. Like, if you see Ryan Levesque, he has a very different style to quizzes. And then you have Shanti Zak, which is usually, she's an advocate for personality quizzes. So surprisingly, I have not like niched down into quizzes. It came really accidentally. And my first client for a quiz funnel was Summer Oasis. So we were doing launches back then. This is like last year, March. Last year, for anyone listening, like 2 years ahead, 2024 March.
No, that's good.
And what? So we were doing the launch, and I was like, "Hey, Summer, like, this looks cool. Like, why don't?" Because the first agenda was list growth, and that time quizzes were just synonymous with like list growth and lead magnets. So that was my understanding back then. And then I started doing some research, because obviously I had no clue how to even like put up a quiz. Like, how do you do the tech part, and how do you do the scoring, and how do you even like what goes in the questions, and all those things. So I started Googling, and the more I Googled, I felt like there's just like everything is so surface level, and there is nothing that I was feeling satisfied as a marketer. And I was like, okay, like, this is what's there. Then I like researched a lot on ChatGPT as well, but couldn't find something that was appealing to me. So back then there were no names, there were no categories. But now what we did for summer is called a Champions Challenge quiz. So I have 6 types of conversion quizzes, and that's like one type of it. And it really blew up. Like, she had 7,306% list growth just within like 3 days. And it got picked up by like MailChimp communities, saying like, this is the best quiz ever. And the audience responded really well. And even after that, I was like, okay, I still do launches, and now I know I can try quizzes because I've done that once. And surprisingly, when I started writing on LinkedIn, all I was writing about was quizzes. And then it just happened accidentally, where I was like, you know what? Like, I wanna do this. And then, no, sorry, before that, I pitched another client saying like, hey, we just had really good success with this. I don't know, it could be beginner's luck, but do you want to try it? And she said yes. And even that went really well. And everyone was noticing that, okay, you're doing quizzes differently. What's the secret? So then I spent like 80 hours on why are people not, because I wanted to create, so the problem with usual quizzes, which I found were, they were really good lead magnets per se. uh, Not even lead magnets, like list growth magnets,
Yeah.
which would, like, people would take it, it would have a really good opt-in rate, 60-70%, but those leads would never buy.
Mm.
So the conversion rates were like super, super low. And the problem there was that the quizzes were not sales quizzes. They were just the goal was like, which Harry Potter club are you? Or things like that, which is
Yeah.
like, which is where the industry was. Even if
Mhm.
it wasn't BuzzFeed quizzes, the personality quizzes used by within which industry I was, course creators, were just like that. Like, what's your badass style? What's this? What's that? And then I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to create sales quizzes. So that is where my mind was at. But then I went in and did research. So I spent like 80-ish hours on going through demos, going through sales calls, and understanding why people don't buy. And
Mm.
then I found out like there are 7 reasons. So then, after, like, then how now I approach projects is, okay, so for each reason there is one type of conversion quiz specifically, but then obviously if there are multiple reasons, then there are blends of conversion quizzes.
Mm.
So now the idea of a conversion quiz is that it's a sales call at scale, where
Okay.
the
Okay.
whole journey which you take, it's like a sales call, and it is different for each company. That's why there are 6 types and there are 7 reasons why people don't buy. So we survey their buyers, we interview their buyers, understand what's keeping them from buying, and then that shapes the way for, okay, which conversion quiz to pick for which company.
Mm. Okay.
That
That's
answers
okay.
your question.
It does, but I think, like John, it gives me thousands of questions that I want to ask
Yeah.
from this. There's so much. So the first question I have is that you mentioned that obviously a lot of these kind of what personality type am I, what friend's character am I, what house am I. They're all quite surface level quizzes, as you've kind of talked about. And having a sales call is en masse is great, but surely you need to focus on a specific target audience. Is that how you get deeper, or how do you go from that very surface, I don't know who you are, you've just landed on this page, to actually being able to go deeper in those kind of quiz questions?
Love that question. So one shift that we made, like after finding that, I pivoted actually my niche. Like we went
Okay.
from just working with course creators to now we are working with a law firm, a concierge doctor, hospitals. And then I was like
Okay.
challenging myself, like, okay, this just works with this industry. Can we do this for lawyers? Can we do this for this industry?
Yeah.
So basically, how we approach it is, we come in with a target. Like, obviously, we want to sell a particular offer or a particular service. In some
Yeah.
scenarios, we can sell 2 services with one quiz as well, because we can use branching and segmentation logic there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but usually, we start with like one service that we want to sell, and then have segmentations for those services or different type of things. For
Mhm.
example, I want to sell Notion's team plan.
Mhm.
Okay. So a sales call, like a conversion quiz. So there are 6 types of conversion quizzes. Okay. First is, there is the one is a personality peak, because there is a space for that. When you want
Yeah.
buzz, when you want virality, when your brand is new, e-commerce can use, like, get really, really, like, e-commerce can benefit a lot from personality quizzes.
Mhm.
So there is a place for that personality peak. Then there's this disguised demo, which is usually for SaaS, and that is like, it's kind of a demo but through a quiz, which we'll be talking about, like Notion. Then the third one is diagnostic doctor, which is basically when you're blindsided, like when the prospect believes that they don't need your offer because, like, they've got themselves covered. This diagnoses them and makes them see, like, okay, this symptom that you're feeling is because of this problem which my product solves, and
Yeah.
you thought that my products doesn't solve this, or you thought that X product which you already have does solve this, but it doesn't. So this
Mm.
symptom is what my product solves.
Yeah.
um then we have switch and swap, which is also again used for SaaS, which is switch from Asana to Notion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those, like, you're
Yeah.
currently, those are, it's used for a very product aware audience.
Mm.
Then we have personality, champions challenge, which is where
Yeah.
a very big renowned personality, um, like Summer, or someone who is really like on in a champions level, like Hormozy, or anyone who's made their name in the industry, and
Mm.
they're creating quiz like, okay, here's my expertise, and I've created a test for you, see where you get scored.
Mm.
And then based on that, the lower scores ones get the offer pitched differently, and the higher score ones get the offer pitched differently,
Mm.
because the offer sometimes caters to both the audiences, but the
Yep.
messaging needs to be different. um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And then for Notion, for example, like what's a conversion quiz, if we are selling for the team plan, what do we need to segment first, which different types of people we need to target? So we'll think of people with different team sizes. We'll think of people who are using Notion for different agendas. Like someone needs a Kanban board, someone needs like their workflow is chaotic. So we'll first get that data, and then we'll understand where they're switching from.
Mm.
Based on that, we will have different branches. Like if you're using Asana and then shifting to Notion, then you'll get branched differently, and there will be a mini demo which shows like why switch from Asana to Notion. Whereas someone coming from monday.com and clicking on monday.com will get a different demo or
Yeah.
different slide. So there's like inbuilt slides, and each objection is being catered as you go along the quiz within the questions only. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't you don't need to get to the results page to be convinced to buy.
Mm.
There's a whole like journey going through that.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like there's quite a lot of upfront work that you have to commit to, but then from that you're able to cater and curate the quiz to help kind of feel personalized. You know, you've got loads of different channels that you're able to curate, but then from that you're able to follow up with automated kind of email marketing that you
Email.
can use, saying, well, oh, this is the Monday person, so then we can say, well, we know exactly what that happens, but upfront the value of creating that quiz means that we're able to create something that's engaging, make you feel heard, make you feel like we've got a response through this throughout.
Yeah,
And it just kind of helps build up the kind of almost like a plan for that specific person. So it's got
yeah,
wider kind of knowledge. So then it's shallower initially in a way, but then it gets deeper and deeper and
deeper.
deeper the more that you follow
Exactly.
through. That's
Exactly.
really,
So
really
I
cool.
usually say like top of like the landing page of the quiz is only symptoms. You don't mention the
Yeah.
product. You don't mention anything. It's just not even problems, just symptoms. Like what's that
Yeah.
person really feeling? Catch them there, get them to
Mm.
take the quiz, and then just move them through different stages of awareness with 7 questions or 10 questions.
Yeah. It
I
is
no, carry on, Alex.
I was gonna say that from my kind of experience with marketing, I would always and just generally my day-to-day things, I go through a lot of option paralysis. I go through a lot of way too much research and perfectionism. So is there a limit? Is there a point where you've reached your peak at 7 questions or 10 questions, and that going any further with questions becomes kind of not a waste of time, but it's too much work for what you're trying to achieve?
So this is a very like it depends type, but I don't want to answer
Yeah.
that. For each client it would be different, and each client's audience has a
Mm.
different threshold on how much they're like. For e-commerce, anything more than 5 questions they won't stick.
Yeah.
For a law firm, or a medical, like if you're working with hospitals or like concierge doctor, they would be happily willing to do 20 questions. But
Yeah.
more than we thinking of how many questions do we put in a quiz, we go like, okay, what are major belief shifts or pattern, like shifts that needs to happen for this person to move closer towards where we want them to go. And
Yeah.
if that's like 3 things, if there are like 10, then we pick like, okay, what are the top 3?
Mm.
If there are 3 things, then obviously those 3 things are created around the quiz. I'll give you an example so that like it makes it easier. We're currently working with, like, we just wrapped up a project with a sales consultant who helps SDRs move to AE roles. So the
Okay.
assessment was like, the SDR to AE. test, which is again another champions challenge, but we mixed a diagnostic doctor in it. So how we did that was like they are assessed around three things: um, deal closing, negotiation, and business and acumen. So why we did that was because most of them believed that like the thing they need for becoming a good A is just deal closing. So
Mm.
the quiz helped them see that okay, that's not enough, because these are whole another things that you'll need to deal with when you'll step into the AE role. So we knew that we needed these like three belief shifts. So we weave them within the questions and within the like whole quiz copy. So now by the time we don't wait for emails to do that job.
Yeah.
Like this is doing it. And the ideal thing is we want to do this on a webinar, but we know like webinar show up rates are dropping, webinar sign up rates are dropping. So this
Mm.
is that first touch point, which still acts like a webinar or a sales call without them giving us 90 minutes or 60 minutes.
Okay. Amazing.
Because I was recently looking at, I recently read a book, Scorecard Marketing by Daniel
Daniel Priestley.
Priestley. Yes, thank you. Okay, you come to. Yeah, so I read that recently, and I feels like it's a lot of the same. Like, obviously, I think a scorecard essentially is a quiz anyway. It's really much going through, asking questions, and at the end, kind of it's just basically it depends. It's just the outcome, isn't it? It's the difference between what you show at the end, whether it's a score or a number or whatever else. But it's and it's so I was looking at that, and I kind of created a scorecard for my business, and I think you talking about this here really highlights how I went into it quite naively. I was like, oh, cool, I can just create some questions and then add some scores at the end. But I got so overwhelmed by the idea that, well, actually, depending on the different answers, you could have all these different things at the end, depending on different route, that mean different things. And then I could eventually, in theory, I could then contact them differently depending on the outcomes. I got so overwhelmed that I just kind of stopped doing. I just kind of cowered away under the desk because I was like, I don't know. I just kind of went, here's a score, and then that was it. Nothing else. It's still, it was a thing. So, like, how do you actually? I don't understand how in the first place you decide. You just kind of went, yep, I'll do a quiz and did it because it was massive to do. But how did you kind of work that out? Because is there much out there already that tells you how to do this, or have you just had to just work it all out from scratch yourself?
Great question. I want to talk about two things. I'm actually a Score Up partner, and I love the software. However, how Score Up is built is for mass consumers to
Mm,
like just put in questions and add yes no questions. That doesn't that's not sales call at scales, or that's usually not a conversion quiz. It will get you some leads, sure, it will get you some conversions, sure, but like the idea of like milking the most potential after out of your existing traffic, that's not what happens there. The
right.
second question which you asked is, was it easy? It's not. That's why my team grew from 2 people to 10 people after we moved
Yeah.
from quizzes, because it's just so much work. There's like I could never do it alone, or like I would, all my hair would have lost, or it would turn gray if I had been taking like one quiz project, and it takes like 3 months to the whole process. So
Wow.
that's why I contradict myself when anyone comes to me like, no, people who are already established, they should go for a conversion quiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why after doing a couple of projects, I came with the concept of conversion quiz ecosystem, which has 4 parts. Part one is positioning, messaging, research part, which anyone like you and me can do. Early stages, first most important part. Second part is the conversion quiz, but I wouldn't recommend someone doing that unless they have a team, or they are at a certain revenue point, or they have like real amounts of traffic, or like they're getting so many speaking inquiries that they want to maximize that traffic, and
Mm,
then they can hire help for that. Like I would say, like don't try it on your, like don't try it by yourself. If you want to put something out there quickly, and that's fine, but if you want to do like the full shebang thing, don't do it alone. Hire help. But the first thing you can do it yourself or get like DIY yourself, which is positioning. There are so many amazing books on that which can help you get that right, because that's most important. And then there are the second the second part of the conversion quiz ecosystem, which is strategic partnerships. Like
Mm.
one partnership with the company Heartbeat got me 12 sales calls, qualified ones. I don't have a quiz yet, and that's the reason where, like, because my team cannot handle that, or I don't have that much time, or right now I'm not even putting money in ads, and I've paused. Like, I said yes to this podcast after like putting all the podcasts at quarter four, because I wanted to maximize that traffic when the quiz
Mm.
goes up. So after like 1.5 year, now my quiz is going live, because revenue wise, team wise, I know my team can handle it, and I wouldn't do it myself.
Mm.
But the strategic partnership side, I know I want to keep my pipeline flowing, and that is really amazing. How you can collaborate with YouTube partners, SaaS companies, e-commerce companies, and then get them, like, do a webinar for them, and then you get like leads and sales from there. And the fourth part is selling in the DMs,
Mm.
how by using a quiz or without the quiz. So that's how I realized, like, when people used to come to me and, hey, if I want to do a quiz, like, can you do a power hour, or can we do a VIP day? And then I was like, oh yes, we can do a VIP day, but if you don't have a quiz, let's not do that and work on the other three parts of the conversion quiz ecosystem.
Mm. Okay.
So you're actively. I think I'm just surprised. I've worked in marketing for a few years now, and people who say that most people won't need this, or it's not the best tool for most people, whereas most service providers will be like, everyone should hire me to do this right now. Whereas your stance are, well, some people don't need to, or it's not the best move for some people.
Yeah.
I was just immediately dumbfounded by, hang on, you're not just shamelessly saying everyone should give you money. This is
Yeah, I turn
highly
a lot
unusual.
of people in my DMs as well, and they're shocked, and on sales calls as well, and they're shocked. It's because it's like you're putting in big, like, a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy in this, and
Mm.
you can't, like, I've scaled my business to multi six figures without email list, website, funnel, because you don't need those things when you're just starting out. You need the essentials, like selling part, strategic partnerships, yes. You need the basics sorted, and then, like, work on your pipeline. That is very important. And then this is where you're already established, and now you want to milk, like, there's so much potential prospects you're losing. I talk to podcasters, and they have like 3,000 downloads and just like 200, like 200 people turning to their email list, and I'm like, dude, hire me now. Like, this is where you hire
Yeah,
me. um
Yeah.
yeah. When
so
you've got
that
that
is
active
the
audience,
difference.
that's where it makes sense. If without that active audience, the return on investment isn't going to be there effectively.
So there are two camps. Yes, active audience, and other people who don't have that huge audience, but their deal size is huge.
Mm.
30K deals, 100K deals, where if you do like a few strategic partnerships and get that conversion quiz, so that would really make the best of the investment, because especially with such big deal sizes, you need you need a tool that helps you start conversations with the right prospects. And
Mm.
every time it's very hard to multi-thread all decision makers, but with this tool you get, okay, can you just send this to, like, you can go like the CFO takes it, the CMO takes it, and then the whoever you're trying to target, and they take it, and then you want to make sure they're all talking about you, and that's how you do it. So obviously active audience, but there's like very small audience as well who has bigger deal sizes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned something before that was in my list of questions to ask you because how how do you grow your business without having a website? How do you what is
Yeah.
magic there? Because that is kind of like step one normally of starting a business in 2025 is
Yeah.
your business started in what 2020 2000 so 2020 or 2021ish around then. But what how? It's my
2020, I think 2022. I started my business in 2022 June.
2020,
Um,
sorry, was your bakery,
yeah, it
wasn't
was
it?
my bakery time. And that was just a time pass turned into business. So actually, the real reason is I'm not a tech person, and For the first 2 years, I don't think anyone should have a website. Because like when you're, unless you're like super 100% sure what you're doing, because your business goes through so many iterations that you would waste money on a designer, on a copywriter. And like, I'm not an advocate for businesses doing their own marketing. Like me as a marketer, as an agency owner, I outsource my marketing because
Mm.
we are just so like, I tried in outsourcing my website, and then that didn't turn out because the conversion quiz was still not a fully baked idea, and then I had to be super involved and do it myself. Not that person's fault. um and then now I'm on my 15th draft, I think 16th. And now someone from my team is doing it, and we are stuck on it. Like we could have, like, in this time a baby comes out, but the website is still not coming out. It's been like nine and 10 months. um and now, okay, so there are two parts of it. You don't need a typical fancy website, you just need a good offer and positioning that offer really well, and then a very simple Google Doc page.
Mm.
So I had a 14K offer, and that was selling well from that one Google Doc page. Then when I pivoted to quizzes, I'm losing potential leads now without a website.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I wouldn't go out and say like, hey, don't have a website now, do have it. Because definitely you're losing out people who might just have come to you and like book your call or whatever you want to have on the website. And especially if your service is a little harder to explain, a website is like necessary. Or you're like me, you created your own offer or your own niche, and then people don't know and people can't understand it unless they come on a call, and not everyone is willing to come on a call. um
Hmm.
Mm.
so yes, the website is in the making. The magic, sorry,
That's
the
okay.
magic there is Google Doc pages. Like, you need a good pipeline strategy, which is, I found that speaking and doing LinkedIn lives and DMs, like being really good at the DMs, is my strategy on like having my pipeline in control. Initially I
Right.
was doing cold emails, but then I realized like the time I spend on putting out 20 cold emails, I and the results I get from that is equivalent to the time I spend writing one really solid like strategic partnership pitch to someone like a company like Heartbeat, and
Mm.
then doing that and then growing my business from that. Actually, I think it's time I spend writing 40 cold emails versus time I spend writing one good strategic partnership cold email. But that's like,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
just, if your pipeline is the goal, you're trying different things until you reach that thing where you want to like, okay, now my like I'm on a 3 month wait list. Now I can do the quiz. That's what my anchor was. Like
Mm.
once I start being on a 3 month wait list, then I'll tell my team to build the quiz for us.
I suppose
Yeah. Okay.
not having you kind of discussed this where you're iterating through your business multiple times as you go on, having that kind of freedom to say, well, I'm not locked in with anything, allows you to experiment, try a different sales pipeline,
Yes.
try see if something works or not. I think me and John, we ended up reading the $1 Million Weekend book a while ago, where it goes through iterative processes of saying, try something out. If it doesn't work, then that's fine. You can move on. You're not heart set on this. You're not crying over the fact that it's not working, because you're able to see who is your target audience, how is this working, how is this kind of approach going in this kind of process. But so primarily from my research, it's really challenging to figure out what's going on other than through LinkedIn. And it's difficult to kind of with you as an example with kind of nomads. So how is it that LinkedIn has just become the kind of target kind of platform to use, and that's how you've kind of expanded? Because obviously if you're approaching with DMs, building up some posts on your page and kind of building up the kind of authority through that, is that how you've been doing it? Is that how you've kind of been approaching your sales?
That's a great question. Um, so what you're initially asking is like, no one can find nomads unless through LinkedIn.
Yes.
So very early on in my business, I approached my business from a domino effect.
Yep.
Like in my first 6 months of business, I did things which usually take people like 5 years to do. For example, I pitched Lara Costa. No, I pitched Noshin Aishen. And then, like, it was more like, I want to get you results. Because I was a copy hacker student and I was like, okay, I'm confident in doing what I can. and I want to like have good clients where I can validate that, where they have traffic, they're giving me that creative space. That got really good results. And then I was sending cold emails, and I wasn't sending cold emails to like people we think like, okay, people who are I'm comfortable with. If now I'm pivoting to SaaS, nothing would stop me from pitching Notion, because I know like if I do it for Notion, then everyone else would be like, she's done for Notion, why not for us? So then I pitched Lara Costa and I got her as a client, which led like which I think what I could have done in 5 years happened in 4 months. That's for the client side of things. Similarly, for speaking side of things, for example, I went on and spoke at the biggest podcasts in the industry or the biggest summits in the industry. So then everyone was like, oh, if she's spoken here, then we want to get her to speak.
Yeah.
Then when I started doing LinkedIn lives, I was like, okay, who are the most unreachable people? And then they would definitely tell me no. But then I was like, okay, how do I get them to say yes? If I get four of their friends or four of their unreachable people, put them on in a Google Doc. Everything is happening in Google Docs, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Like for example, Seth Godin, no, but like for example, if I want to go like Seth Godin, I would see like who would Seth Godin say yes to speaking with. So Seth Godin is not speaking with
I see.
me, but there was four other people. So I would get all of them, and the Google Doc would say like these are the tentative speakers. So that tentative speakers, no one would focus on the tentative part. They would just see the speaker lineup. Every face would convince each other, and that's how I got all of them to say yes.
Okay.
So then everyone was like, Alefiya, I'm seeing you everywhere. Because then I would request on the speaker form that, hey, can you all like just post once about it? So there are 5 posts, and someone who does twice, there are 10 posts talking about the panel, the topic, but they're all mentioning Alefiya as the host, Alefiya as organizing it, and my face is like front and center.
Yeah.
And you don't need a lot of big numbers, big audiences to do that. Especially because I fall in camp two. My deal size is big.
Yeah.
So I just need like a couple of clients, and that is it. Like if I would be doing an e-commerce business, my approach to my business would be completely different. Like I would go mass market. I just need to go up market, and I need to find the right people and have conversations with them, and then tap into their networks and then their networks. So
Yeah.
that's the strategy basically.
Oh
I think
man.
you might be my new hero. I
Yeah.
think that firstly, really, I look back over the 4 years I've been copywriting and looking at the mistakes I've made. I've done basically the opposite of what you've done, which includes updating my website about every 3 months, with every new direction I take. Yeah, I think that's everything you said
I think
resonates in
I'm also a
quite
very
aggressively
slow
bad with me.
person. Like I'm a very very slow person. So if I get caught up in anything, like if I would have a website initially, my business wouldn't have been here today, because then the whole anxiety and overwhelm of like, oh, I just paid this and then redoing that. I think not having any assets give me a lot of freedom in like experimenting things and just going wherever. And now I feel like now I want to stop that freedom, because now I don't want to overwhelm my team with Alefiya is bringing something new every 3 months. So
Yeah,
now I'm like locking the assets specifically so I get not locked up, but then I stick to this, because
yeah,
I think after I know that I want this, it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel someone else's. And I joined Joanna Weeby's mastermind. Like she plays a very pivotal role in everything that whatever I've done. So there she mentioned about having a red thread. And then I was in the founding members time when I was there, Abby Prendergast was there, and there were so many people who were like clear on their one thing. For example, Abby doesn't do launches, she does like day one evergreen. Um, and like Joanna had conversion copywriting, and everyone had their thing. And I think that was also a very good decision, because I was the tiniest business owner amongst those giants in that mastermind. And I don't know how I got accepted also, but because it was like a pick on a like they were picking their students at that time. And it did really overwhelm me, like when I got on calls and I was the dumbest one and the poorest one and the most like with the least audience and least assets. But after that I kept like it was on the back of my mind, like at that time I went into like disruptive copy and humor copy, which Joanna said like, no, don't do this. But then I was always thinking about like, everything is taken. Like, what will I do? Like, even if I go in quizzes, like there's Shanti, Zach, there, Ryan, and I didn't want to do that. There's like that catch of founder where all inventions are made. Like, what can I
Yeah.
invent? And the time I was chasing that, it never came to me. And immediately as I stopped chasing that, um, quizzes just fell into my lap, and then conversion quizzes just like built onto that. So,
That's
Wow.
so I
incredible.
believe like it comes from experimentation. You cannot go and like, hey, I want to niche down. Don't do
Mm.
that. Like bakery led to marketing, marketing led to LinkedIn ghostwriting led to emails and funnels, and that led to conversion quizzes. It's like a good 4-year journey.
What a journey! That's madness, though. Going from
Yeah.
that, those steps aren't like you said before about doing like something in a year that would take someone 4 years. I think that really is like you've got an entire career there in 4 years. That's what you've got.
Oh, thank you.
I, well, both me and John are quite meek human beings. We are almost immediately panic. I don't know how you can get over the sense of massive imposter syndrome weight of approaching these people and doing all this, because to me that sounds like I'd love to do that, but no one would ever talk to me because I'm
Yeah.
just a small little boy in the corner crying. It's
I think
mad.
I'm a very adamant person. So whatever I
Okay.
want, I would do it. And then I would just figure out how I could do it.
Mm,
And I think that stems from my parents have raised me like a very adventurous person, like
mm,
putting me in things where not all my comfort zone. For example, I won inter-school debate competitions.
There you
And
go.
that's where whoever talks to me is like, Lifia, you don't sound like a typical person from south, like in an Asian background, or the way you look and the way you speak doesn't look the same. And like, okay, that is the debate competitions help there.
mm,
Then sports and those weird things where even my friends used to say like, Alifia, you're not hesitant. I have massive imposter syndrome in other areas of my business.
mm.
Not being the best, like I don't know why, but it's just like every single day i I feel like how far I am from the leaders in my industry, and that just gives me massive imposter syndrome. Like there's just so much to learn, and now I don't know about buttons, and now I don't know about this, and there's like AI, and there's now AI agents are happening, and I have no clue about AI, so I'm just so far behind. That's there. But when it comes to things like pitching big people, I don't know. Like, I don't see anyone that big. I don't know why. Like, even okay, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. Like, okay, he's the president of America. If I can help him, then how do I get to Donald Trump? That is a bigger imposter syndrome for me than
Yeah.
shall I pitch Donald Trump?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you get that
yeah,
difference?
yeah, yeah. I get that. So pitching fine, but just sending that message out. Who do I contact? This looks too much. This is just, you know.
It does happen to me as well. Like, definitely. But then I don't know. I really don't know the answer of like why I've asked my coach as well. Like, why do you feel like, because I was in a sales mastermind and we all had to close one deal a week, and then I did
Mhm.
that in the first 2 days, and he was like, okay, Olivia, you have to do three, and then day four it was done. So he told me like I think that is something which self starters get, and then he said like
Yeah.
ask your therapist why are you a self starter, and that's a homework on my end.
yeah.
But I think if you're really good at something, or you want to be really good at that, and you know that, because industry leaders like, I think even hearing stories like Summer was a huge inspiration when I came into the industry, and hearing how she worked with Pinterest give me a lot of confidence there. So whenever I'm feeling that dip, like I'm not good enough, I can't pitch this people, these are people too big, I go and listen to those story, the people who are relatable, and they've done something like they've, because what I believe is no one will come to me, especially being in India. I can't travel, I have travel restrictions because of nationality issues and all that. But then I'm like, okay, if I want to make my way, then I have to do it the unconventional way.
Mm. Wow.
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
it
it
is.
does.
It's
It
genuinely
does.
impressive as well.
Right.
The quiet is both me and Alex just going, crap, we're not very good at this, are we?
Yeah. No, it's just a inner doubt and just trying to figure
But I'll
things
tell
out.
you
And be like, that's
something. I'll tell you something which is very interesting. Whereas I am like this in one area of my life, I might not be like this in different areas, and I'll tell you why that happens. So while I was working with Shanti Zak, she mentioned this quote, which is just like stuck with me and which is just so right. Is burnout comes or like your resilience breaks when you're doing something for like consistently within a long period of time and you're still not seeing results.
Mm.
In my case, one, yes, like I had 70 rejections, but what kept me going was that 71st yes. Like I knew that
Yeah.
would happen, so that
Yeah.
would give me massive ego boost. That and
Yeah,
then
but
after it happened like 3 4 times, I knew that okay, this is a pattern.
Yeah.
I wanna go like to these 10 people. They might not say yes, but I don't know which one will. So I
yeah.
shouldn't stop. Like I will reach out to all big salespeople. One of them will say yes. And then the yeses starts getting easier than the no's. Initially, like it's rejection, 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 and it still happens. Like I think in Ramadan, like 3 months ago, I had like so many rejections every single that whole month was just so many rejections. Pitching to for workshops, rejection. Pitching for clients, rejections. Pitching the DMs, rejection. Sales call, rejections. And then I was just like, "Ugh, you know what? Like, I don't know if I'll be able to keep this. Like, shall I switch things?" But then just suddenly something happens. And
Yeah.
then that anchor there is not the business, honestly. It's spirituality. Books like Rhonda Bryan's books, Law of Attraction, Magic, doing something completely unrelated, which just gets me in that believability mindset. Because if
Yeah.
I believe it, then it will happen. But it's just sometimes so hard to believe things when you're just facing rejections.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
like I compare that to my weight loss journey. Like I was very resilient before, but now I have some health conditions and it just becomes so difficult for me. So now I'm not a resilient person there, whereas I was very resilient with my health. But it's just I'm burned out now that after trying, because I don't know the answers to a few things.
Yeah.
um and that's where I feel like you should hire professional help. When you're
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
consistent burnout and rejection, then go to
Yeah.
experts who've done it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's brilliant advice. Now, usually at this point, John would turn around and provide a quiz to me and put me under the spot. This is the first time in a long time that I get to do a quiz back. And now, it'll be a normal format. I'll ask you a question, Olivia, and then I will go to John. Don't worry, it's going to be really nice and easy for you.
I
John, good luck.
Yeah, this is the problem here, is that I have not been entirely fair with the quizzes so far, historically. Alex hasn't won any of the quizzes, despite my very fair answers. And I think Alex has taken that as a slight against him. So I'm not entirely excited about how this quiz is going to go.
So, question one, Olivia, this is for you. What business did you start during COVID to raise money for a university ceremony?
My bakery business.
That is correct. That's what I've got written. It might be that these are horribly wrong, and we realise that I'm a bad quizmaster. John, Olivia was given a nickname which related to the bakery business. What was that nickname?
Oh, no, I did read this. That's annoying. No, I read this in my research. Because the business was Drizzle and Sizzle. I remember that because it's a sick brand name. It was the
BQK.
brown.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Oh, that's a really good. That's a really good hint.
What was that?
BQK. BQK.
BQK.
It was the brownie queen of.
Oh,
You got it, man. Like that is just a place that's left.
Yeah, I think that's. I say. I think. I don't,
I'll give
isn't
you a
that
half.
right?
I'll give you I'll give you half a point. What was it?
Brownie Queen of Kampala.
That's
Correct.
it.
Kampala is in Uganda. But like,
Yes.
wow, impressed.
So
I
that's
thought I was going to get that. I thought I was like, finally, I was going to screw over Alex by getting the questions right.
right. So at the moment, John, you've got 0 points, and Olivia, you've got 2.
Oh, please give
So
him half. That was a difficult one.
okay, I'll give him half a point. I'll give them half a point.
Thank you.
So, question 2 for you, Alefiya. You wrote a dissertation between 2019 and 2023. What was the dissertation about?
It was about marriage before, like fertility before marriage, which is again a very different concept. But yeah, that was
Yeah. So, John, how many people did that dissertation reach? And there's a bonus if you can get this. What did it rank against the 100 other dissertations?
It reached 13,000 people.
Oof. Completely wrong. Alefiya, do you have the answer for this?
3,000 people.
Yeah. And what was its ranking?
It ranked number 1.
It did, because it was amazing. Right. So that's, gosh, you're
This is
getting more
awkward for
points.
me. Do you guys realize that? Like boasting about myself through the quiz.
Oh, don't worry. Alex is far too excited about humiliating me than embarrassing you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fine. Don't
yeah.
worry. It's
Yeah.
not. You don't come across badly at all. Just
You don't.
me and
It's an
Alex
emotion-
both come off badly.
It's an emotional roller coaster. We both use this just as a way of getting at each other, and we also get to celebrate you.
It's like
So
a fun segment. It's like,
So,
you know those celebrities who goes on interviews and there's a segment. I feel like
yeah.
that.
Oh, good,
Nice.
good. So, question 3, Alefiya. What 2 symbols appear in the Nomad logo?
A mountain and a compass.
Perfect. That's correct. John,
Yeah.
what is the symbolism behind them?
These are such difficult questions for John.
I will.
Let me just think. A
No,
second.
There's no reason.
what?
I will say on a previous episode, John had asked me in 1963 how many maple leafs were on the Canadian flag. So
That was a fair question. I thought you'd know that one. I don't know. I don't pass.
Okay, Alefiya.
So the compass connotates like when you're lost, and then the quiz acts like a compass, and the mountain connotes the horizon, because like there's just so much overwhelm happening in the marketing world, and if you have a quiz, then it just navigates you and gets you towards the sail very easily.
That makes a lot of sense, really. I've
That's exactly what I've got written as well.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
I am so surprised. Like, how did you do so much research?
John
Did I fill all
sent me.
this in the form?
No. We got excited. John
we
said, "Hey,
research, I guess, too much. Really, that's it.
Wow, I'm just like, this is amazing, guys.
okay." Next question, Alefiya. This is a tough one, I'm sure. Name 3 people from your client roster.
Summer, always. Shanti Zach.
Mhm.
Lara Costa.
Perfect. John, can you name 3 more?
Oh, those were the 3 I had. That's
Oh,
those are the exact same
what are the
3.
chances?
I thought if you'd have asked me first, then I'd have got those.
Sorry,
3, but
sorry, yeah.
It's That's no. I don't have the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Just those 3 I've got in my head.
Okay. Do you have any more, Alefiya, that you can remember?
Yeah, Chris Ritson, Init Audio, Noshi Naishan.
Yeah, that's
You want
great.
more?
You're not giving bonus points out for this, are you? For the extra
Well,
ones.
to be honest, I've lost count. I've just
Do I
enjoyed
get a
the
hamper at the end for like
Yeah.
just being like having straight A's?
yeah.
But of course, guys,
Right.
it's my business. I should have been quizzed about you guys, and I would like lost so badly. It's like I didn't
That
prepare for
would
this
have felt
test.
unfair. That would have felt
Yeah.
unfair to bring you on and ask us about us. Like, okay, what's my dog called? I think I've been really inappropriate.
Okay, so we're on the final questions. Right, Alefiya, your bakery business started in Uganda. What is the capital city of Uganda?
OMG, I just hope I get this right. I think it's Kampala.
That is correct.
Entebbe. Sorry, it's Entebbe.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Entebbe.
Oh, Alex.
I
What's
think
happened to your
so.
research here? Did you have the wrong answer?
I did
here?
have the wrong answer, so that I will. Yeah,
Is it Entebbe or is it Kampala?
I think it was Kampala. I think
It is
at least-
Kampala, actually.
I googled it and it was Kampala, and then I felt
Yes.
very nervous that hang on a minute, what
No,
if
it
all of
is
these questions
Kampala,
I'm asking
sorry.
are wrong?
The airport is in Entebbe, but it's Kampala.
Okay. John, easy one
Yes.
now.
Okay.
The Ugandan flag consists of how many horizontal stripes?
7.
That's close. That's close. Olivia, do you know this one?
I'm very bad at these things,
Oh,
like geography and all.
same here. It's 6. It is 6 horizontal stripes.
Is
I know
it?
there's a
Hang
chicken
on.
in there, like rooster.
There is
There
a crane with like a slightly raised leg. It's I wanted
Shame
to,
on
yeah.
me. My parents live there.
There's a final bonus question, John, if you want to win this whole quiz.
Or if you want to win
Okay.
the consolation prize.
Yeah. For all the marbles, Olivia once said that books had made her the happiest, followed by 2 other things. What are those 2 other things? If you get this wrong,
It'd be funny if one of them are quizzes, but it probably wouldn't.
that's not what I've got written down.
Brownies
Very close, very close.
and the television show Mr. Bean.
No, that's not what I've got written here. Olivia, you did do a LinkedIn post of this. Do you remember what you put?
Yeah, I think it was the birthday post. It should be in this order, like followed by cheesecake and ice cream. If
That is, yeah, that's
it
what
is,
I've got
Oh,
written
nice.
here. Yeah, which, to be honest, I love that as an answer of books and food. Just give me food.
yeah.
I respect
My,
that.
my actually my team did send me like without. I posted this the next day, and
Yeah.
surprisingly, I got cheesecake and ice cream the morning
Oh,
before. I
oh,
was
that's
like,
lovely.
I didn't even know like I am a fan of cheesecake and ice cream. So I was just like, karma being nice to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just sent it out, and it just came back to you with
I
that.
didn't even
Well,
send it out. That was the best part.
oh,
But then when I
awesome.
did send it out, no one sent it to me. Like when I did post that on LinkedIn, assuming people would send me ice cream and cheesecake, no one did.
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah.
That's an interesting research study that you've kind of done there.
Yeah.
That ends the quiz. I think from that,
Did I win? I think I won, didn't I? I was doing maths in my head, and I think I got half a point. And
you got half a point, and you didn't win all the marbles. So because of that, Olivia wins with, I think, 9.5 points if she answered all the other questions correctly. But we're ignoring the bonus points, so I thought I'd just be fair with that.
well, fair enough. Fair enough. I applaud that as
Thank you guys.
Well
This
done.
was
Well
so
done,
much
Olivia.
fun.
We'll do obviously our final bit of just Olivia. Where can we find you? Where's the best to nosy and see
that
what
sounded
you're
a bit.
doing?
That sounded a creepy way of phrasing
Yeah.
it. Where can people find you and follow
Yeah.
you?
Sorry.
That still sounds creepy. It sounds
LinkedIn,
a bit
Alefiya
LinkedIn. Okay.
Khoraki, Alefiyakhi, Khoraki, because I don't know if my website will be out by when this goes live, or my quiz
Yeah.
will be out.
Yeah.
We are on the 16th draft. It's happening. Pray for the website.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
So LinkedIn, you'll always find me there.
Perfect. Thank you ever so much, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you so much.